All right, American Carnage. Jenna Ortega is in yet another horror property in the last couple years. This girl's just popping up in everything from X to Scream to The Babysitter 2 to freaking even Jurassic Park or the Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous. She does the voice for Brooklyn, and then she was in Studio 666. And yeah, she's just like every damn property.
That's great, though. It's good to. I think she does I like her in everything that we see her in.
And she was in You as well. Not You. Right. She wasn't in You.
She wasn't in me. But it's cool to see like new faces of horror kind of start to be more, consistent in things. So.
Yeah. So I think this will definitely have some kind of a triggering effect to more right-leaning people, for sure.
Absolutely.
The opening is very anti-Trump Republican Party, for sure. There's no doubt about it. So that's gonna isolate a certain group of people the second they turn this on. They're gonna be like 10 seconds and they're gonna be like, fuck no, I'm not watching this, right? Yeah. So you can watch it if you want, if you are into that. But I'm telling you right now, that opening is gonna put you off. After a governor issues an executive order to arrest the children of undocumented immigrants, the newly detained youth are offered an opportunity to have their charges dropped by volunteering to provide care to the elderly. We had zero idea what this was about going in.
No clue.
Less than zero.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So it was kind of just you go in and you're watching, and you're like, there's people being deported, and I was like, oh, they're gonna like pit them to the death,
like purge style.
Yeah, to gain their citizenship back into the country.
It's not what happens.
No, it's definitely not what happens. What ends up happening is not in here, and it's totally out there, and you're like, oh. This is where we're going with this film.
Yeah.
It's totally kind of off the wall, unexpected as fuck. Although you will see something coming from a mile away. There's like a twist that happens, but that twist isn't the huge twist, right? That's not the story twist. It's more of a character twist kind of thing. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, you can't really see what's coming as far as like what it all means until they reveal that. I've had a day or two to think about it. We watched it 2 days ago.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it
we rarely talk about movies after we watch them, so that we can do it here. Yeah. Okay, I'll say this. I was happy to see Hector from Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, which I love him in that movie. And his name is Hector. I'm not. Yes, okay. I'm just making sure. I don't want to be stupid here. And then also, this guy who plays Big Mac is absolutely the highlight of the film for me. Oh my gosh, sure.
He was so funny.
Yes.
So ridiculous, and
pretty much all of his dialogue just really works. And the way he delivers it, all that stuff is great. And he definitely made the film for me entertaining. Yeah. But I will say at the end of the day, I'm not sure I liked this very much. I found... I think there's supposed to be some deeper meaning to like what they're saying about the expendable nature of immigrants, immigrants.
And elderly.
And the elderly, right. And that's, I was going to say, like, the juxtaposition of them versus together in one area, and kind of how they're both expendable.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. For most of society. We don't like to look at them.
But I don't know. It just got... It got too silly for me. And I feel like the film is like it has comedy in the beginning, right? Like you have our main character here, JP, who's played by that kid from Night Teeth.
Yes.
But like it opens really heavy, right? It gets us very much into these modern social affairs of the times, political affairs of now, right? Immigration and politics and all that. So it's really heavy with that stuff in the beginning. And it's like, it's basically just taking you through a bunch of shit you already know and reminding you of you know,
The
stuff
state
that,
of the world
yes.
currently.
So it's like really heavy subject matter in the beginning. Then we like, you know, we cut to this in and out type place where this guy is trying to, this like charismatic dude who's being funny and whatever. And then it gets really serious again because then we go to like a deportation center and all the horrible shit that's happening there. Mm-hmm. So it's like super serious, funny, super serious, goofy, super serious, super goofy.
Yeah.
And it just was like a roller coaster of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, definitely goes through that like very quickly. I felt too. And I mean, for me, I feel like all of the comedy worked really well. Like I thought it was funny, and that was mostly my takeaway with the tone, was that it was more of a horror comedy than anything else. But
more of a comedy horror.
Or more of a comedy horror, rather. And the horror was interesting because it's like mixed with the like fantastical horror of what's going on, plus like the reality of the serious subject matter that it was talking about with deportation and immigration and everything. And it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. I will say I liked this movie a lot more than Master, as far as like how it handled the message that it was, you know, conveying. And I do think that it was ultimately successful, but it was, I definitely didn't love the movie, and I wouldn't really want to rewatch it.
No.
I don't think anybody's performance was, you know, terrible or anything. The guy from Night Teeth, I actually quite like him. I think he is very likable in this movie. And everyone else is fine. Like you said, Big Mac was the highlight for sure. He was hilarious. And it's cool to see, you know, like, I think with the comedy, it's like these, you know, you take these characters and put them in such a horrible situation, and to see the, like, kind of levity that they bring to it makes it easier to connect with them, you know.
Yeah.
But, meh, overall, it was good. It wasn't amazing.
Yeah. I didn't find myself as invested. The end, I'm not really sure
the end,
what to take from the ending, because, like, it's, I guess we'll say bittersweet.
That's what we said at the end. We were like, it's a bittersweet ending. Because this happened, but then also this is happening.
But this is the reality of that situation now. Because it ends on a very like, oh, okay. And I'll say this. They go for a joke in the end. Oh my God. Instead of like having a more like
a punchy.
Yeah, like a kind of a sad ending, but has a message to it, like a sacrifice.
Yeah.
But they go for like a joke, but then you're like immediately you're taken out of the joke because you then realize the situation and how that, you know, where that goes from there. And it's kind of like, no, you probably should have just went for the sadder version, because it's less sad than the joke ending, because of what the connotation actually is for what happens after that point. Once the credits roll, their world goes on.
Right.
And you're like, should have went for the other ending. Because I was fine with the ending how it went, and then it was like, wait, that's even worse.
It is actually pretty awful. But that's kind of what I was meaning about like the levity. Like I feel like it is going to be shitty, like, going forward. Like, they sort of, like, there is this win that happens, but then it's also the repercussions of everything else. And the fact that they make a joke out of it is kind of like, this is so ridiculous. Like, it's obviously hyperbole in a lot of ways, but also not hyperbole, because there's parts that are, like, grounded in reality. So it's kind of like just laughing at it.
But it just goes back to what I'm saying at the beginning. It's super serious, goofy. Super serious, super goofy.
Yeah.
And then in the end, you have this kind of like almost sad, poetic kind of ending that they turn into a joke, right? So it's just one, then the other, then one, then the other flips it over. Yeah. And you're like, okay. And then the horror aspects, when they happen, some of them, one of them in particular, is like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's freaky and,
really
and
freaky.
kind of fucked up. And then the next minute, it's like fart jokes kind of thing. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay. I was kind of feeling this here in the horror, but now we're back into the comedy. Then we're into deportation and immigration rights. But then we're over here talking about fucking fat chicks. Yeah. You're like, where are we going with this? It's just too all over the place.
It was.
So I just couldn't find a tone. And that honestly is one of my biggest gripes on the channel in general. Is always like tones all over the place. I say if you've watched my channel or this channel long enough, our channel now, I have talked for so many years, like when I come out of new films, I'm always like, I just couldn't get a sense of the tone. It was like I'm super dark and then I'm super light. And some films can balance that,
yes, I think,
but it's a really hard juggling act.
I agree. I think that there are films that can handle having wildly different tones throughout because it blends really nicely together.
Evil Dead 2.
Right. But then other films, it makes the story very convoluted and confusing, and you just don't know what to feel. And not in like there are films that make you question yourself and how you feel about what happens, and that's different than what I'm talking about. It's where you're just, like you said, you just don't know where you stand and what to take from it. So
it's hard to do it with like modern political issues and stuff, right? Like Evil Dead isn't talking about Reagan or whoever the hell was president at the time, right? Like it's just a guy out in the fucking woods in a cabin and his girlfriend dies and whatever. Like yeah, that's a little bit more small scale, and it's harder to take. Like the bigger scale the story is, the harder it is to blend all sorts of different tones.
But it makes sense, like, that there would be these mixed emotions, right? This fear and anger and, but also like the comedy and the silliness from like family and friends and trying to honestly deal with, the situation. Because that is something, when people are, it's a defense mechanism to laugh at things that are really fucked up. That you're like, I don't actually think this is funny. It's just like a reaction that I'm having, like a spontaneous one that I can't control. So all of that I think makes sense, but because the film was so like up and down with everything and it felt not blended, it made it kind of jittery.
Yeah.
So.
Overall, no. I'm not recommending it, but I do think that Big Mac was funny. Yeah. Jenna Ortega also is playing Wednesday in the Wednesday Addams show, which is, horror-esque for sure, directed by Tim Burton, and then she's in Scream 6. So, yeah, she's just really making her stake right now in horror.
That's awesome.
Which is, cool. All right, so let us know if you watch it. We say no, but you don't have to listen to us. Tell us to go fuck ourselves. Bye.
Bye.